It's late April in my Zone 8A North Carolina garden, and I'm going to take you along today to show you what's growing, what's blooming, what might need a little work, and what we can harvest. I'm Amanda, the ever hopeful gardener. Come on, let's go. Lemon trees are doing amazing. I have them in these rolling 30-gallon pots. That way I'm able to bring them in the garage for winter because it's a little too cold here to be able to plant citrus in the ground. And it looks like we have a lemon that we can harvest today. One of my favorite things to plant in the base of these planters around my citrus trees are nasturtiums. They will trail over the sides and they have gorgeous different colored flowers, and all parts of the plant are edible and have this wonderful peppery taste. They're so fantastic to add both the leaves and the flowers to salads. In this bed behind me, you can see larkspur and poppies. Maybe you can see some snapdragons and nigella. This bed is pretty much a set it and forget it bed that I plant in the fall with cool season flowers, meaning flowers that are cold hardy. They don't mind the cold temperatures, and they actually do quite well being planted in the fall, allowing them to have that chill time. And then they come up in the spring, and it's just one less thing that you have to do in the spring when you're just completely overloaded. I added this garden arch a couple years ago because I knew I wanted a more formal entrance to the garden, and I planted 2 David Austin roses. This is James Galway and this is Crown Princess Margarita. And holy cow, in 2 years, look what these roses have done. This might be one of my favorite things in the garden right now. And something that we can definitely do today is we can prune off all of the spent blooms. I'm definitely going to have to get a ladder out to be able to complete this task, though. These beds were originally designed for all of my peony plants. My family gets me a peony every Mother's Day, but once the peonies are done blooming, I like to have other things in this garden bed to be able to enjoy blooms basically year-round. I also plant milkweed for the monarchs in this bed, and I currently have some baby caterpillars. Let's see how things are going today. You can see where they're starting to eat holes. They hang out in the leaves. They hang out on the undersides of the leaves. And I saw the mother monarch laying the eggs a few days ago, and I know they've hatched because I can see that the plant is starting to be eaten. There it is. You see. There's a lot that can be done in the garden today, so I'm going to focus on the most critical things. This is one of my beds of garlic. This is hardneck garlic, which means it forms these wonderful scapes, and it's important to cut these off so that all of the energy can be focused on creating a large head of garlic underneath the soil. These are also a delicacy. So today we are going to snip off all of the garden scapes and we'll get to enjoy those with dinner. I like to just chop them up, saute them with some olive oil, salt, and pepper. This bed is a combination of different garlic varieties, and then along the outside perimeter, I have Egyptian walking onions. And you can see that the walking onions are starting to form their bulbils at the top, and these will get super heavy and weigh the stalk down so that it basically, in essence, plants itself, and the onions walk across your garden, self-seeding themselves. We're going to check this bed to see if any scapes need to be harvested here also. The scapes in this bed, while they are forming, they are not as far along and they don't need to be cut yet. These tomatoes are growing really well, and what I especially like about these cages is that while they are at a shorter height and they're not depending on the cage so much for support, there are these middle bars to which I can tie the tomato to just give it a little bit of support while it's in this young stage. I reuse my garden twine from year to year. That's why it looks the way it does. Another way I choose to support my tomatoes is with a trellis and string system. In this method, the tomatoes are going to grow, and as they grow up the string, I will use tomato clips to keep the tomatoes tethered to the string and provide them support. These clips have teeth that grab on to the string so that the clip does not slide up and down the string, and then they clip shut, but they give the tomato enough room to grow. And I especially like these because they are compostable. If they don't last more than one season, I'm able to compost them, and I'll link them in the caption. I've added this elevated garden bed over here in the shade because I have gotten into growing my own mushrooms. And there's a company that provides these starter blocks, plant and grow, that you can just grow straight in the garden. And I've grown several in the garden, but I thought I'd dedicate a space just in the shade since that's what they prefer over here. And I've got chestnut, blue oyster, and pink oyster mushrooms growing over here. I'm also testing out growing some of these plant and grow mushrooms in a grow bag over here in the shade with the hostas and the hellebores and the hydrangeas. In this bed, I'm growing mostly strawberries, and I've got regular sized strawberries, but I also have these alpine strawberries, which are very tiny, but still delicious. Over here is my blueberry patch, and the bushes are loaded, but we probably won't have harvestable edible blueberries until maybe June. And what's surprising about this blueberry patch is that it was originally in sun. As the years have passed, it has become increasingly shadier, and they're still doing well. So while I don't advocate you plant blueberries in shade, I just want to let you know that that there are no gardening absolutes. This is my raspberry patch, and you can see that the raspberries are loading. This is a thornless raspberry variety called raspberry shortcake. The only issue is I should have kept it in pots because they do spread via runners and pop up everywhere. A third way I support my tomatoes is with this garden arch, and they are starting to get a little tall. They're starting to get tall enough that I'm going to grab some garden twine and tie them off to give them a little more support. Once they get up this high, I really kind of just weave them in and out of the arch trellis and don't have to provide any extra string or support. The beehives are a new addition this year that I'm really excited about. I'm learning as I go. I'm going to be posting lots of content on my beekeeping journey. And I decided to make a small bee yard to give it a little bit of a barrier, a definition. And I planted a blueberry on either side. I rolled one of my Meyer lemon trees over there. I put this trellising with some thornless blackberries on either side and planted some salvia in the middle. I do think I will also add in maybe some rosemary up front. I think that would be really nice. All in all, the backyard garden is looking great right now. I'm going to show you a couple other areas, including the grow bag area in the front driveway. In the driveway, I've got two more of my rolling planters with a Persian lime and an avocado. We have garlic growing in grow bags. We have potatoes growing in grow bags. And as these guys get a little bit taller, I'm going to hill them up by adding more soil. That's why the grow bags are rolled down a bit. And over here, I've got turmeric and ginger growing in my grow bags. I like having this grow bag area because this is full sun. My backyard garden no longer gets full sun. And this allows me to expand my growing area, also capitalize on that full sun. Here's another example of some flowers that were planted in the fall and love the cold weather. These are snapdragons. And actually in my zone 8A North Carolina garden, these snapdragons have basically perennialized. I planted these 2 or 3 years ago. And when they start looking really rough on top, after they're done blooming, I cut them back. And one thing I can see that needs to be done today is all of the daffodils that have turned brown. I can go ahead and clean up that foliage and make this look a little neater. I do like to leave the daffodil foliage while it's green because it's still sending energy down into the bulbs to help them bloom next year. And they're basically just ripping away because they're not providing any more use to the plant. We're just going to make this area look a lot neater and nicer. And that is looking so much better. Now, if only someone would come and clean up after me. This is one of my favorite garden beds. My husband and I decided together to get rid of some of the lawn. We put in this fantastic metal edging that has this beautiful patina as it ages. I'll link it in the caption. It was so easy to install. It has held up amazing and it looks so good. And this bed is a little multiple personality. I've got a pomegranate bush tree, I'm not sure which they are, that's starting to form flowers right here. I have a cardoon that has perennialized, comes back in my zone 8A garden. It looks pretty rough in the winter, but look at it now. It's getting ready to bloom. It looks similar to an artichoke, but it's not. But the bees go bananas for these koosh ball-like blooms. They actually do feel like a koosh ball. Right here, I have a cold hardy citrus tree. This is an Owari mandarin or an Owari satsuma tree. I did give it some protection because it was just a baby when I planted it last year. Hopefully once it's full grown, it will no longer need protection because it's cold hardy. I also have things like spirea and what is this one? Weigela in this bed. I've got pink muley grass and I've got poppies and northern sea oats, peonies, yarrow, blue glitter sea holly, mums, echinacea. I have baptisia right here. And then I also love to scatter seeds in here like zinnias and celosia. And this becomes just one giant bee magnet, pollinator magnet all summer long. I have two more cardoons. These were planted last year and they overwintered. That's why they're not as big as the one that's been there for 2 or 3 years. I have lemongrass that I dug up out of the ground, put in a grow bag, put in the garage and overwintered. And then things like northern sea oats. I've got dahlias in this bed, nigella. Here we have, oh my God, I love this. This is blue lemonade, purple lemonade. Oh my gosh, I'll link it in the caption, but it's a form of baptisia that has purple and then yellow spires, hence the lemonade name. We also have mums in here. A lot of these things like this nigella that's about to bloom have self-seeded. We've got some fun alliums in here. Blue glitter sea holly, like I mentioned. I just think this plant is so fun. Here's some nigella that's blooming. There's actually a lot of stuff in here I don't even know what it is. Like I think those are some type of Medusa alliums. I also have an Amsonia over here. This is a storm cloud Amsonia. It's already done blooming. Oh, wait, look. It's got one little flower left. But just look, this started out as one plant, and look what it has done. I mean, this is the coolest thing I grow, maybe. Just love it so much.